in a down market. Nobody was making much, but not everyone had adrenochrome. It says, it seemed to cut my learning curve. I was jacked in, booted up. At the end of the week, my brokerage account was worth over $2 million.
What's up, guys? Benny. Boy, I love the level of transparency in today's politics. Here's Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio. She's worth $250 million. She's made hundreds of millions of dollars on a salary of like what? 50 grand a year? What do they make in Congress? About 100 grand a year members of Congress make. Boy, would you look at this. Nancy Pelosi's up 700%. There's no hedge fund that looks like this. Nancy Pelosi's strategy is up 736%. Boy, it would seem to be that Nancy Pelosi is the single greatest traitor in all of Congress. You're probably looking at her portfolio going, how does someone who gets a public salary make so much damn money? And that's what members of Congress are also asking as they pass the Pelosi Act. This is the congressional stock trading ban that got the green light today in the Senate. It's Josh Hawley's ban. He named it the Pelosi Act in order to troll Nancy Pelosi because, well, everyone can look at this data right here. I wonder what happened when Nancy Pelosi became Speaker of the House. It's almost like magic. You just naturally become so good at stock trading, you beat every hedge fund in America. Well, President Trump has had enough of it. Donald Trump saying Nancy Pelosi became rich by having insider trading information. She made a fortune with her husband, who isn't even a professional stock trader. He's a degenerate drunk driver who lives at their vineyard as far away from Nancy Pelosi as he possibly can, with him and his male companions in their underwear while he holds the hammer. You know what I mean? And I think it's just disgraceful. She ought to be investigated, says President Trump. Nancy Pelosi's response to this on CNN is causing major news. Nancy Pelosi was just asked on CNN about these comments from President Trump. Here's Trump's comments first, and then I'll play you the Nancy Pelosi absolute meltdown.
Very carefully, and this just happened. So I'll take a look at it. But conceptually, I like it. And what I do think is Nancy Pelosi should be investigated because she has the highest return of anybody practically in the history of Wall Street, save a few. How did that happen? It happened by she knows exactly what's going to happen, what's going to be announced. She buys stock, and then the stock goes up after the announcement's made. And she ought to be investigated.
Ooh, well, President Trump is asking for an investigation as Congress approves stock trading ban for all members of Congress and members of the federal government, elected members of the federal government, like the president and vice president. This is going to be very, very interesting to see this play out. Nancy Pelosi is pissed about it. She was on CNN losing her damn mind on Jake Tapper. Get ready. Here we go. Nancy Pelosi hitting it hard from the vodka bottle. I think this was at George Floyd's funeral or something like that. Drunk at a funeral, Nancy. Nancy wishes she was drunk on the CNN hit. Here we go.
Well, let me just read what he said. I'm sorry that we had some sort of technical issue. Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We're here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come to talk about.
Yeah, but I wanted
what that means in the election.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support the stop the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted and they go to jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about this. But I have no concern about the obvious investments that had been made over time. I'm not into it. My husband is, but it isn't anything to do with anything insider. But the president has his own exposure, so he's always projecting. He's always projecting. And let's not give him any more time on that, please. We're going forward here, and I'm very proud of my family. And while he might make fun of us, while somebody inspired by him breaks into our home and hits my husband in a deadly fashion, hits my husband over the head, and he thinks that's a riot, I'd rather not go into some of my other complaints about him right now, rather to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid.
She really did bring up Paul Pelosi and the hammer and the naked dude? Whoa. Okay. That's how you know that she's desperate. Also, let it be known that the individual who broke into Nancy Pelosi's home with a hammer, of course, we don't condone any of this, but that individual is described by everyone as a far left-wing BLM supporter, eco-environmentalist Democrat. So it's absolutely insane for Nancy Pelosi to say this. She knows she's lying. She also knows she's lying in a recent interview that she gave where everyone is calling her completely and totally plastered just like this. Man, she's freaking angry about this. Boy, she's upset. It's like wild to see. It's wild to see them lose their composure like this. The entire internet is talking about this. Everybody talking about how Nancy Pelosi had a complete and total meltdown. Why do you read that? That's not what I agreed to come on and talk about. She's losing it. She's losing it. This is the entire internet. Look at this. The eyebrows don't lie. Photo 1, Nancy Pelosi thought she was going to be talking about Medicaid. Photo 2, Pelosi talked about her insider trading. This is a great post. She flipped out on Jake Tapper for just reading Trump's remark. Why read that? My husband was into it. What is she talking about? The investment that had been made over time, my husband was into it. Okay. Your husband's a drunk wine degenerate who's not a professional stock trader, but somehow does better than every hedge fund in the world. Why do you say that? Incredible. Yeah, everyone's behind the stock trading ban. It's good. Should have been done a long time ago. Let's not give him any more time on that, please. Look at Nancy Pelosi. Look at how Democrats talk to the media. If anybody ever talked to me like this on my show, they'd be banned forever, and I would humiliate them live on air. You don't come on here with some pre-scripted questions that I give you in advance. You don't come on this program to sit there and tell me what I'm allowed to do. We do like 3 interviews a day live on the stream. Pelosi ranked in millions last year. Her portfolio outperformed every large hedge fund with stunning returns. Nancy Pelosi outperformed every hedge fund, beating infamous inverse Kramer stock trade. This is how good it is. The inverse Kramer doing the opposite of what Jim Cramer says. Nancy Pelosi's up 55%, 43%. Nancy Pelosi is not up. Nancy Pelosi is doing very poorly. She is melting literally before our very eyes like the Wicked Witch. Nancy Pelosi this weekend was asked about rigging the election against Joe Biden because Joe Biden's family is out saying, no, it was Nancy Pelosi. Trust me, it was Nancy Pelosi right here. Hunter Biden admits that Pelosi was the one who shivved his dad. They had already made a decision. They clearly made a decision. And when I say they, I mean Speaker Nancy Pelosi, says Hunter Biden. So Hunter Biden's out telling all the dirty deeds of Nancy Pelosi. Pelosi's response is just
second thoughts.
Something
Any
else.
second thoughts about what happened last summer or with
Not defensive.
Second thoughts, but I do have a second thought about the Republicans. If they want to measure mental acuity or sanity, they ought to look to their own president, because the president of the United States, who was asked one question and answers by saying President Obama is guilty of treason, he is not of sane mind. But no, I have no second thoughts. I think that he was a great president. He accomplished remarkable things in a 2-year period where we had the majority. He had accomplishments that were seen in the same light as LBJ.
Look at the face. Look at this face. What the hell is this? What is that? That's a real shot. That's not AI. That's something that Nancy Pelosi's face is really doing. Yeah, she's down bad. Pelosi looks bad, and she needs to lay off the vodka. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to see the Pelosi meltdowns. Having them live on CNN is even more spectacular. And it's just not going to work anymore. I don't know why Jake Tapper is so easily cowed. Have some self-respect, man. This is the lady that like brought you the Biden hoax. Didn't you just write a book about the Biden hoax and all of his bad health? This is the lady that brought you that you're not going to ask her about it? Have some guts, man. Anyway, that's why you're here. We'll deliver to you the real news. Thank you for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing. It's your boy Benny. Any Pelosi drunk clip, we got you. See ya.